CMO and CDO of Paramount Streaming, Domenic Dimeglio. We've got EVP, Chief Marketing Officer of the NFL, Tim Ellis. Star football wide receiver, Jefferson will be on stage, as well as Head of Women's Strategy, Footballco, Allie Williams. And moderating the discussion is the founder and chairman of 72 and Sunny, Glenn Cole. Should be a good one.
Okay.
There we go. I like that jersey right there. I like
we got the
that
Vikings
jersey right
in the
there.
front row. Are you Justin Jefferson?
Yeah.
I'd like to thank Beth for much more comfortable seating this year. Great job. This whole thing is incredibly up-leveled. We're going to talk football, as you heard. And by football, I mean both of them. We have world football, which is, you could say is finally taking root in the U.S. We got American football going global. We hope to see some of you in Sao Paulo for the kickoff game down there, the first Friday game also. And both these sports are giants, but when they go to new markets, they're far from giants. And those are challenges these giant brands aren't used to navigating, or any brand isn't used to navigating. So we're going to see what we can learn from these smart people over here who are driving the growth of these sports in very, very different ways. I'm Glenn Cole. I'm one of the founders of 72 and Sunny. Helped build the Nike soccer brand back in the day, and I work with Tim at the NFL, stewarding that brand. Tim Ellis, CMO of the NFL. Also, I believe, a nominee for CMO of the Year. Like 4 of them or something this year. Good job. 15-year client and collaborator. Justin Jefferson, here on in the front row. Record-breaking receiver, a TikTok superstar, and pretty good dancer. Allie Williams is a vet from Audi. In the NWSL, she is considered a marketing superstar, and she is leading global women's strategy at Footballco. And we got Domenic Dimeglio, a network guru, career network guy, who's going to give us a perspective from Paramount Streaming, where he is the head of marketing and data. All right, we'll get into it to start with fan development. Tim, we're going to start with you.
Ooh.
Has anybody seen Tim talk yet here at Cannes? He's been working hard. Oh, this is good. Okay, we're not going to do some. You can repeat it. Tim and his team and our team at 72 and Sunny have been working for the last 6 years on the NFL brand on what Tim you have famously, I think now famously, dubbed the helmets off strategy. And can you talk about how that is effectively engaging fans in the U.S. and how is it helping abroad?
Yeah. So, it sounds kind of simple, right? Like, we're one of the few sports where you have a helmet on the whole time, so nobody knows who most of our players are. So one of the simple but pretty important things that we did when I came on about almost 6 years ago is we just call it the helmets off strategy, which simply meant, hey, get the helmets on unless they're on the field playing with a highlight film. We want to know who these guys are as human beings, not just elite athletes. And then let's get behind the things that they care about. And that could be entertainment, it could be gaming, fashion, music, it could be a social cause. Whatever it is that they want. So they became sort of the face of the league, and at the end of the day, that's what fans love, right? They love players, they love clubs, and then somewhere down there, they might like the league. So guys like Justin Jefferson here, we work with in order to really get our fans closer and to broaden out fandom in the league, because particularly our younger fans, that's really what they care for. Now, in getting to understand these players on a local basis, you can imagine it's even more important on a global basis. So when you go into a new market, nobody really knows who you are, right? So getting to these sort of key marquee players and getting to understand them as human beings and their families and the things they're interested in and all that has been really helpful. In fact, I don't know how many of you guys are not from the U.S. here? All right, so one of the things that I've learned in this last several days here is a lot of you saw Quarterback, right, which was on Netflix, and then there was also Kelsey and all that. So some of these documentaries, for example, which is a perfect expression of helmets off strategy, is all about who these guys are, their struggles, how they are at home with their kids, their families, et cetera, et cetera. And that is really, it's amazing to me to see how many people have found out about the NFL and their players just through that through that documentary. So we're going to continue to do these things internationally to really create a level of empathy and understanding for the players, which then, of course, will lead them to engaging into the game itself.
Nailed it, as always.
And
Justin.
we got a receiver coming out, too. If y'all seen
Oh,
quarterback.
you stole my
receiver.
punchline. I was going to cue you up.
We got a receiver, I'm in, so you make sure y'all watch that.
We're not going to say it's the best one, but it does
Gonna
look
be a
like
good
the best one
Someone
of the
has
series.
to catch the ball, right?
For
Someone
sure.
has to be a
For
target.
sure.
Look, Tim said, fandom is generally, it starts with people fall in love with other people.
Mm-hmm.
And people, you're one of the most beloved guys in the NFL, probably in sports.
Mm-hmm.
How do you approach growing your personal brand? There's the dancing, we've seen the dancing, but how do you approach growing it? And then part of that, when you think about new audiences, like when we were in Ghana, how do you think about appealing to them or growing that fan base?
Yeah, just like how Tim said, we always have that helmet on. Nobody really gets to see who we really are under the helmet. No one gets to really understand that we're just normal people. We like the same things that normal people like. I like playing a video game. I like dressing up. I like fashion. I like jewelry. I like things that normal people like. It's just about showing everybody else what I like. So just being in creative spaces, being in the fashion shows, being in Ghana for the commercials, those are things that I always wanted to do growing up. So just being able to have this type of image and have people, looking up to me, now I can be able to show people who I really am under the helmet and to really expand my brand further.
Do you do anything different on your social platforms when you're thinking about European fans, or if we're going into Africa, or do you just stay consistent with?
I kind of want to do like as much traveling as possible. Of course, not every country plays football like we play football, so just trying to expand the sport, trying to get everybody involved on what we're doing, because our sport is really entertaining. Our sport is fun to watch and fun to play. We just got to get the rest of the world involved.
It's happening. All right, I'm gonna switch over to the other football, and the other football thinks of American football as the other football, but we're gonna go with soccer, world football. Allie, talk about you've led some franchise launches in the NWSL, San Diego Wave, Angel City Football Club, very awesome clubs. You helped rebrand Gotham, awesome job. They seem to be the go-to. When you're trying to scale football communities, what's the role of these guys are on the high air game. You're doing ground game stuff, local community development. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I think it's entering a space with curiosity, right? I had moved to LA, but I'm not an LA native. Shout out Portland, Oregon. And then when I was moving down to San Diego to launch what was in August of 2021 called the San Diego NWSL Project. And we were on the field in front of a sellout stadium in February called San Diego Wave FC. So it was a bit of a sprint. But at the end of my workday, I would go sit at a park, listen to the people. There was actually conversations on a blanket adjacent to me one night where they were talking about this team coming to town. So I just awkwardly walked over and I was like, hey, can I ask you some questions? Can I run some names by you? What do you think of this color palette? Don't tell Jill Ellis I did that. But it was making sure that I was trusting the people who would care about the brand to play a role in it. And a huge part of that care is incorporating players into that storytelling. Before we had a mark, we had two marquee players wearing the name across their chest, and one of them is Alex Morgan. So being able, yeah, I think a few people have heard of her. So Abby Dahlkemper was our first, Alex was our second, and finding unique ways to tell stories and making sure that those stories come from the community. So I would say now that I've transitioned into media, finding those authentic stories that, yes, we got to operate at a macro level. Yes, we're doing news scores and analysis as the largest soccer-specific digital media company, but it's about diving in and finding the texture and the fabric and giving a platform to for people to be themselves. I don't want to project my point of view onto the game. I'm someone who peaked at 16, so there's not much I can contribute other than empowering the people who are still in the game to be their whole selves, right? To find their passion and help them tell their story in a compelling way, because that's what wins hearts. And if you transactionalize the relationship with a fan, then you're selling tickets. And that's not what sports is. You know, it's a love language. It's a romantic relationship. So leaning into that.
That's a great metaphor. Dom, we're going to take it to the network side of things on U.S. soccer, U.S. being kind of the last frontier. Paramount Plus has gone double down on Champions League in the U.S. So when you guys are thinking about fan development, what are like the core insights that like are driving what you're doing?
Yeah, for sure. I think, first of all, I love the love letter because it is true. And I think when we were starting again in soccer about 5 years ago, we really wanted to put CBS Sports on the map. And a couple of things that we saw, right? First of all, soccer is the fastest growing sport in the U.S., huge participation rates among especially youth. And also, it's very young and very diverse. And so we felt like that was on the rise. It was a great time to get CBS Sports and start investing in soccer and really building on what was passionate communities. And that, I know we said the word community a bit so far, but that's what it really boils down to. And we kind of knew that, right? Even though the Champions League is a very unique property, we deal with franchises and fandoms. And every time we work with them, the first thing we do is we steep ourselves in it. We understand what makes that fandom tick, what drives that community, really understand them, and always start all of our work super serving those fans. And as we build out from there to try to grow the fans, really do it in a way that's always true to that sort of core, but yet sort of expands the interest and grows the base.
Awesome. We worked together on our first project this year, and when we went on that deep dive with fans in the U.S., one of the it's so obvious it's almost an observation instead of an insight, but if you love Champions League in the U.S., you have to do weird shit to watch it. You got to like lie about where you're going to lunch for like 90 minutes. You got to, if you're in LA, you got to kind of tune in at 7 a.m. on Wednesday. And it's kind of, you don't really want to go to a pub, but you kind of do. And so we took that and we're like, well, let's not kind of run away from it. Let's lean way into it. Can we play, we're going to play something for y'all. This is the reveal of, well, not the reveal of the long version, I think, on the biggest stage. Can we play the Paramount spot?
Welcome back to Paramount Plus, where the UEFA Champions League has reached the knockout stages.
It's that time again for an external meeting.
Best teams competing.
A 90-minute lunch break.
Plus injury time.
My grandma died again.
I'll say I hurt my back.
This class is past fail.
Oh, yet I did.
No, I'm the man.
Sensational.
I hope I'm on mute.
We brought our loss with us. It's the champion.
It's so good.
Who knew it had words? There's a real Pavlovian effect when that song comes on, I think, for people who love Champions League. So.
That was a lot of fun. Thank you for the
Yeah, that was a great partnership. So a great start to a partnership. That was actually created in support with a third partner, a brand called For Soccer, which does a lot of grassroots work for soccer in the U.S. I see Richie Graham, who's the founder of it over there, and one of his things he said to me in the past about fan development. He's like, well, his belief, and for those in the soccer community, player development is fan development. And we've taken that to heart. You know, if you play a sport, and we have data on this at the NFL, tons of data at the NFL about it, so it's not just for a soccer insight. If you play a sport, you're 3 to 4 times more likely.
4 times, yeah.
4 times more likely to be a lifelong fan of that sport. So any brand in a sport getting into player development is not only doing a good thing for the sport, but doing a good thing for your brand. So I want to dig into that a little bit, player development. Go back to you, Dom. We're going to start with soccer. We'll pivot back to the other football. So in terms of player development, what sort of things does Paramount Plus do now, and what are your kind of ambitions?
Yeah, I'd say we're just scratching the surface. First of all, shout out to Richie and Mark out there from FSV. They've been wonderful partners of ours, really since day one on this soccer journey that we've taken. Delivering amazing insights, great partnerships, and I think a real forward way of thinking about how do we grow the sport in the U.S. And so on the player development front, we're having conversations, but I think we're scratching the surface. But it's something that I think as we sort of level up more the growth of soccer in the U.S., it's going to be critical, as well as taking advantage of what's happening around us, especially the next World Cup that's coming in 2026 to the States. We think that's going to be another step function increase in interest and passion for soccer in America, just like we saw in 94 and 99 with the men's and women's World Cup. And then hopefully we get the women's World Cup in 31.
Well, and just to build on that, if you zoom in on women, more than 90% of women in the C-suite played sports, and more than 50 of them played in college. So not only as you're developing players, you're developing fans, you're actually developing the future of business. So when you're removing barriers for any underrepresented, any underserved community, you are paving a pathway for a stronger business world because of everything that sport teaches you.
When you were launching San Diego Wave or Angel City, or if you were to launch a new football club tomorrow, what role does, hey, we got to have a grassroots player development program in this city first before you even say anything? Where is that part of the conversation, or?
Well, I wouldn't, because fool me thrice, then.
They didn't do it?
But when we went into San Diego, that was one of the first steps, because it's such a youth soccer hotbed. And some of the biggest annual tournaments are there, like Surf Cup. So we built a relationship really quickly with that tournament, and we had our coach, Casey Stoney, out there. We had our president, Jill Ellis. And building that relationship with the youth was really important. And then when we were thinking about the marks and the color palette, I am a woman who wears almost exclusively black and white, and the lead color for that is a really bold pink. And so we were building that diverse color palette for the girls that were going to be wearing it to their youth tournaments, bringing their teams to that stadium, filling 30,000 seats in the new Snapdragon Stadium. So, shout out to the ticketing team, Janine Valentine.
Qualcomm's really stoked you just said Snapdragon.
Honestly,
you saw that yesterday.
It was wild.
Snapdragon.
So getting into the community and making this feel like theirs was super important. I think one of the next evolutions for NWSL will be that academy development. About 10-ish years ago, MLS clubs really started in earnest building those academies, removing the pay-to-play barrier in youth sport, is specifically soccer, which is cost prohibitive. If it weren't for some really nice dads, I wouldn't have been able to play, because my mom was working concession stands to pay off my club dues. I was in college and they were still getting billed. So it's a real thing. So MLS Academies has really shot to the top of the talent development, and Richie does it better than anyone in Philly. So the next evolution for NWSL, I think, will be building those academies and finding ways to tell the stories of the players even younger. On the women's side, the players have certainly had to market the game themselves, and you learn that from a really young age. So removing those pathways and turning the players into storytellers, I think, will be the next step of where it can go.
Well, that's great role for the clubs and the league. I'm going to pivot to the other football. And Justin, so there's a version of growing the game, the Pop Warner version of the game, but now there's flag football is on the scene. Yeah. It wasn't long ago. I think culturally it was considered kind of like a lesser thing, maybe kind of corny, maybe kind of Nerf version of football. Yeah. Now it seems like it's badass. We just saw Deanna Flores running with the Olympic flag. That's pretty fucking awesome.
Yes, it is.
Right? Yeah. And you're one of the NFL's flag football ambassadors. Yeah. So is what we see that it looks kind of cool and badass true, or like what's your take?
It's definitely different. I grew up 7 years old. I had helmets, shoulder pads on, hitting. So now to see how the game has evolved, to see little kids run around playing flag football, and now it has evolved around to now females are even playing football now. So it's so big, and it has grown so much. I honestly wish it was that big when I was growing up. Maybe even though I'm pretty good at the sport I play, I'm pretty sure I would be able to learn even more. Not being able to put on shoulder pads and helmet and hitting I get to actually learn the sport of the game, how to play it the proper way. And then when it's time for me to put on those shoulder pads and helmets, you could. And there's not too many injuries from little kids, you know what I'm saying? So I definitely feel like the NFL flag has grown, and it is growing tremendously. And I'm definitely excited about the flag being in the Olympics. I'm excited about that.
Thank you for teeing me up. Everyone here wants to know, will you want to be on the USA Olympic flag team in 2028 in LA?
I wouldn't mind putting on a little gold.
Okay. Yeah. I hope that was on film. We're going to send it to Tyreek right when we're done this thing. See what he responds.
We're going to have some tryouts. See who would be good enough to be on the team.
Okay, I got one last follow-up. This past year, the first year that the All-Star game featured flag football, and Tim and I were in some of those early conversations with a bunch of the other execs at the NFL, and there's a lot of hesitation. It wasn't like this is going to be a home run. We didn't know.
For sure.
What did the players think before and after?
Yeah, it was the first time, we decided that nobody really felt the need to play an actual game to put on shoulder pads and helmet because we felt like we was going to get hurt at some point. But to put on that flag and to run around like little kids again, it honestly felt so fun. It was so entertaining, just being around each other. We're never really around each other as much. Of course, we're in our own separate places playing against each other. But to actually be there around each other, without that helmet, without shoulder pads on, and we're just really in the moment. I feel like it's more entertaining for everyone to see our faces and to see us interacting with each other. And, of course, to play a game that is trying to be evolved around the whole entire world with women and with men. I think it was a great idea.
Somebody, one of the articles written about it said they played more physical in that flag game
we
than
definitely
with the
did.
helmets on.
They actually did.
We definitely did, especially with the compensation, you know what I'm saying? We're going to play a little harder.
Well, I remember those meetings, Tim. You were advocating for it because it literally was a living proof of the helmets off strategy.
Yes.
Yeah, and we always try to take all forms of football. We see ourselves as the stewards of football, not just of NFL professional football, but like the stewards of all football and all expressions of the game. And so we like to, side by side with the best pros in the league, together with kids playing flag, all forms of football. This guy also does this game called 1v1s, which is essentially a receiver, a defensive back, and a quarterback, and that's it. And it's just freaking crazy. And there he's incredibly so talented at doing that, and fans love it, right? And I think that anytime you can elevate the game and put it side by side with the best in the business, it just inspires people. So having these guys play at the Pro Bowl was so much fun, and we could see you guys are having fun. We could tell the smiles on their faces were from ear to ear, and they were playing really hard. In fact, I was a little worried that they're going to get hurt, but it was just really a great experience. And I think Glenn talked about it. We did a commercial in the Super Bowl a couple years ago with Deanna Flores, the Michigan captain. Really inspiring again. The first time the NFL ever used their biggest moment of the year, the Super Bowl, to have a female represent the league, right, in playing football. First time we ever spoke mainly Spanish in an ad. There's a lot of firsts in that ad, and it was an incredibly successful, that was very meaningful to a lot of families and girls and women throughout the country. So we've done a lot of work with that, and this guy here went with. Should I talk about Africa yet or no?
Well, yeah. Okay. Everybody, I think, is clear on how you're helping develop the game through flag. Yeah, but what else is the NFL doing to develop the game outside of flag?
So, and flag is key to this. So, as we talked about, we represent about 2/3 of the country in terms of fandom, right? So it's not that we can't get any bigger. It's just that our biggest opportunity for real fundamental growth is outside our own borders. So we're starting to really work hard in key countries around the world to play games there and to develop young athletes. And so one of the many programs we have is the International Pathway Program. And one of the best examples of that is actually in Africa, in Nigeria, and also in Ghana. And we're doing some incredible work there. And so we actually did I keep talking about Super Bowl spots, but we did a Super Bowl spot together that this guy was in. And he, along with Saquon Barkley, traveled with us all the way to Accra, Africa, in Ghana. And believe it or not, so we went into the biggest outdoor market in all of West Africa, and on the busiest day of the week. And we decided to,
Saturday.
we decided to carve out a little space and play tackle football. And this guy literally jumped 6 feet in the air in this open air market and landed on this thing. And like I felt sorry for his body double because then the guy had to land on the table. But anyway, it was really a fun commercial. I think you're going to show it.
Watch it?
Yeah, we're going to watch it now. But
see it.
again, I got to tell you, what this meant to so many athletes abroad was just incredible, right? We got so many, I'm sure you did too. We've got so many people who wrote to us who were international players, either came from that part of the world or who were trying and hoping to be. And we literally do develop and recruit players all over the world. But, Africa's one of the many places we do that. And then it gives them a chance to get into the system in college and then ultimately become an NFL player. In fact, one of the NFL players from Ghana was actually in this spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we play it? NFL spot?
His name is Quincy. The crowd goes wild.
Hey, Quincy. Quincy! Your son's fantasies are going to destroy my house.
Spin move. Quincy takes a snap. Hike. Here comes Fred Warner.
I'm open.
He's got Jefferson.
Hit the gritty?
Nah, hit the Quincy.
Where is that ball going?
Nobody will cry. Oh no!
Bring it, little man.
Cam Jordan!
I see them all, Quincy.
Quincy's in trouble! He pitches it to Saquon! No! My ball!
That's on you, bro. Besides, I'm not even real.
Is this your ball? What's your name?
Quishy.
Quincy. I'm OC. I know that look. I know that dream. I had the same one. See, Quincy, doesn't have to be a dream anymore. Doesn't matter where you're born, as long as you're born to play.
Just making sure you were real.
Woo!
I almost shed a tear again.
Did you get one?
Almost,
Show us the
almost
tear.
Came down, almost came down.
The shout out to Rhea Scott and Little Minx and our director, Nigerian Andrew Desunmu, who did an incredible job there and really galvanized a difficult production. When Tim was, just to build up, you were saying when Justin came out to perform, and Justin was great because he came out, he's in his Minnesota Vikings uniform, comes out to this market. Everybody's like, what is happening? He looks like a giant, which you are. And we have, basic production stuff. Like the mat is not the kind of mat you would have in like a unionized, it was union, but a different country union. And so the mats were kind of, they were good. But I was like, hey, can you jump from here, jump up? We're going to, this quarterback from the Africa camp is going to toss you a ball. And you got a spectacular one-handed catch. He's like, yeah, I got it. You sure you want to practice? Right? No, let's go. And then right away, first take off. And I have this on film. I should have brought that. He goes over the first mat. Then we had a second safety mat. Over the second safety mat. And thank God somebody put like some bags of rice back in the back and like just cleared the whole landing pit.
So I had a cut on my arm and everything.
Yeah, we're like, whoa, oh my God, we're done. And we're like, okay, you're cool. Bleeding, but cool. And then we said, okay, let's do it again. We'll move the mats back. We'll move you back.
Yeah, it turned out to be good, though.
It turned out to be good, although we did see, Tim said in the edit, we were looking at the film, and we actually had a hard time with the 3 takes that he did because you kept jumping out of frame.
Yeah.
Like the camera was, never thought you'd go that high anyway. You deserve everything you're getting, buddy.
That was a fire experience, man. Just being in Ghana, to be experiencing, just that whole environment. We was in a real market, a real life market in Ghana, in Africa, seeing their day-to-day life. It's something that you really need to see in person. It's definitely an eye-opening experience. But just to shoot that whole commercial and to be in that spotlight and to represent America and to bring more awareness to football, it definitely was something that it was grateful to be there.
Awesome. I'm going to start with you. We got a couple minutes left. Just last question. It's a quick one. I want each of you just to give one piece of advice that you've learned through the journey of trying to grow your respective version of football. For you, Justin, your personal brand. You've been in Africa now. Has it changed how you do your thing? And also, what's your go-to karaoke song?
Oh, Lord.
Start with whichever one you want.
Yeah, first, my career has never been, the first one to look at. I never been the first player to look at. I never was the highly recruited one. I always had the chip on my shoulder. I always worked for everything that I have gotten. So, to be in this spotlight, to be, one of the faces in the league is something I'm always blessed about. I always, talk to my family, my brothers and my mom and my dad, just about this whole experience. Just like I said earlier, we're from a small town. It's something that is not, we're not used to stuff like this. So to be in these different commercials and to give awareness to little kids and to do different things in my community is something that is always goes unseen, but it's something I'm always grateful about, and I will continue to always try to do different things in my community and different things to, spread the awareness of football, mental health, and of course, just creating that generation. And of course, we're trying to create a better generation and to perform better. And it's definitely a start of it, but it's definitely amazing to have this experience.
All right, go to karaoke song.
Let's go with "Real Love" by Mary J. Blige.
Okay. We're going to have these other guys.
I might have to start singing over here.
Well done. Okay, well, we'll do that later. I'm being waved off on time. We're not going to stop for a second. We're not going to get the lessons from them in the side chats. I do want to hear the go-to karaoke songs. Allie, go.
Wyclef Jean, Perfect Gentleman.
Okay.
Okay.
Like it. Tim, go-to karaoke.
I don't do karaoke.
Yes, you will, and it will be what song?
You listen to something, Tim.
I did it mine.
Okay. That should totally be your song, by the way. Dom.
I also don't do karaoke, but if I had to, I'd do Paul Revere from the Beastie Boys.
Okay.
Oh, my God, that is strong.
Okay.
All right. Welcome to the jungle, Guns N' Roses. Okay, before we go, we have one gift for you guys because we are going to be playing flag football out here in a few hours because you're up here, and I know some of us are 72 and Sunny, but now you're all Team 72 and Sunny. So I would like you, Dom, Tim.
Look at that. Wow.
Thank you.
It's not quite the purple one, but Allie. Thank you. You're on Team 72, and anybody else can be with Team 72 later on if you want for the flag football. Oh, stand up? All right.
These are basketball jerseys.
Standing up? Taking a picture?
Evan wanted these ones. I want to thank this crew. Thank you all. Come play flag.